Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning at Quest Unite Africa. This is Exploring the Motherland, African News with Garth. I'm your host, Garth. Thank you for joining this morning, family. The purpose of Exploring the Motherland is to continue to promote the mission of Quest Unite Africa. Now, some of you may not know the mission of Quest Unite Africa, but I'm here to reiterate it each and every show. The mission of Quest Unite Africa is to promote economic development and critical infrastructure. We are a nonprofit charity, and those are our two missions: to promote critical infrastructure and economic development that helps benefit the African diaspora. That could be here on the United States, that could be in South America, that could be in, all four corners of the earth and including Africa. We are here to promote a message that helps develop critical infrastructure and economic development that benefits our African brothers and sisters and those brothers and sisters in the African diaspora. And we do this through four main initiatives. We do it through medical, cultural engagement, technological innovation, and business. Each week, Exploring the Motherland will try to correlate, not try, we will correlate our mission here at Quest Unite Africa with the news that is going on in Africa, on the continent, and how we can, bring those two together and show you what we do here at Quest Unite Africa. So enough of me talking. Let's start the show. Our first news development: Kenya aviation workers to strike over deal with Indian company.
Kenya's Workers' Aviation Union says it will go on strike from next Monday over plans to lease Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to a private operator. The industrial action would likely cause significant disruption to national carrier Kenya Airways and operations at the airport, a key African travel hub. KAU, which represents airport workers, says the proposed deal announced last month with India's Adani Airport Holdings would lead to job losses. It's called on the government to scrap the deal, which it sees as the unlawful intended sale of the airport. However, the government says the airport is not for sale, and it has not decided whether to go ahead with what it described as a public-private partnership to upgrade the hub. Kenya's Airport Authority says the investment proposal includes a second runway and upgrades to the passenger terminal, and it hopes that a resolution with the union can be reached through negotiation.
Kenya's main aviation union said on Monday that it would call a strike from early next week over plans to upgrade the country's main airport. It's a walkout that could cause significant disruption to national carrier Kenya Airways and to operations at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, or JKIA. India's Adani Airport Holdings would add a second runway at JKIA and upgrade the passenger terminal under the proposed deal. But the Kenya Aviation Workers Union described it as an unlawful intended sale of the airport that would lead to job losses and non-Kenyan workers being brought in. The union's Secretary General, Moss Ndiema, said it would only reconsider its intention to engage in industrial action if the Adani deal was abandoned in its entirety. The government has said JKIA is not for sale and that no agreement has been reached on what it called a proposed public-private partnership to upgrade the airport. In a statement last month, it said there was an urgent need for improvements, but that modernizing JKIA could cost $2 billion, which the government was constrained to fund due to the current tight fiscal situation. A nationwide youth-led protest movement that emerged in June over proposed tax hikes has also criticized what it says is a lack of transparency over the proposed Adani deal. Last month, police blocked protesters from accessing JKIA, which they had aimed to shut down. The Kenya Airports Authority confirmed on Monday that it had received a strike notice, adding that it was hopeful that a resolution can be reached through negotiation.
All right, family. I will put all the links in the description box. So basically, as we have seen, and some have been keeping up with the news or tuned into the news last week, where we talked about what was going on in Kenya with the protests. Clearly, there's a cultural shift going on in Kenya with everything, and more specifically with the Kenyan workers in the aviation union. So, as you heard, they are striking because they see that the government is trying to do a deal with people outside of Kenya, which is fine, but well, in instances, they've seen, what the government has been doing and doing deals with people outside of the government, like, Ruto and the IMF, and we see what's going on. There's a huge cultural shift going on in Kenya right now. And specifically, I'll speak to what is going on with the worker strike here. They're basically afraid that if the government goes forward with this deal, that they will lose their jobs at the expense of the government trying to upgrade the airport. And therein lies two main points here that we spoke about in our initiatives here at Quest Unite Africa: critical infrastructure and cultural engagement. Culturally, the people of Kenya are tired with the government and their terrible deals, them not giving them any type of economic future or hope, with their policies of continuing to do deals with foreign entities that don't promote growth in their country. So I believe they're within their right to strike, and they will continue to put pressure on the government to make sure that the workers' needs are being met first. This is a cultural change, a cultural shift. It was never like this before. They would just, be at the behest of the government, and whatever the government promoted or whatever government wanted to initiate with other foreign nations, they had no say. They just would be willingly go along with it just to get a job and to provide for their families, because the living conditions in Kenya aren't ideal. So they are now standing up to this culture. It's now standing up to the government about their future, their economic future, and more specifically here, their critical infrastructure that can help develop the Kenyan economic landscape as a whole. So here at Quest Unite Africa, we can help assist the Kenyan people with our expertise in aviation management. There's definitely brothers and sisters who have worked in aviation management here, in airport management, where we can consult with them the best practices of what a functioning, running, progressive airport should look like, and how they could upgrade this hub, because they'll be able to meet two needs. They'll be able to meet the needs of the workers who want, a fair salary, fair representation, fair job policies. We could do that through our airport management consulting, if we could find brothers and sisters who could help, who have expertise in that realm. And also, we can also help build critical infrastructure of the airport with people who are knowledgeable in building, planning and designing and building airports. I mean, I see that as a possibility here. And then we would be able to solve the problem of the Kenyan people, and then we would empower them to continue to progressively grow their economy and to put their needs at, their needs, their culture per se at first, instead of just rushing to do deals that may look good on paper, or may, they have a nice airport, but most of their people aren't working there, and most of them don't get to enjoy the nice airport or the fruits of their labor. All right, and to the next news article. China's Peace Ark hospital ship brings medical aid to Mozambique.
The Chinese Navy's hospital ship, the Peace Ark, is currently on its Harmony Mission 2024, providing medical services during a 7-day friendly visit to Mozambique. This marks the ship's first visit to the country in 7 years and its fourth stop on this mission. The visit is not only a gesture of goodwill, but also a reunion of several Mozambican healthcare workers who studied in China. Foreign military students trained by the Naval Medical University bring back the medical technology they learned in China to serve the Mozambican people in their own country, which vividly illustrates the spirit of compassion, love, and joint protection of doctors across the borders. Following its mission in Mozambique, the Peace Ark is scheduled to continue its journey to South Africa, Angola, and other locations, extending its medical services to more local residents.
All right. So basically, China is on a peace arc. I put that air quotes, peace arc, to help meet the medical service needs of the Mozambican people, and they also are going in other several African countries on this mission to provide medical services and training for the Mozambique students who were in China and learned different medical technologies and medical training services to bring back to the people of Mozambique. Now, don't get me wrong. This looks good on, this is a good photo op. This is good because for the people of, for China, they say that this is a goodwill mission, and it helps show goodwill. But it's a very vague initiative. It's a medical initiative where they're trying to give back whatever they can, and also bringing back the locals, residents that they also trained. I mean, that's a good way to spread influence and spread your influence on the continent. But I personally believe it's just all for show, and it isn't a long-standing solution for the people of Mozambique and the people of Africa as a whole. They just, are taking different residencies who are, interested in healthcare or medical technology, and then they take them and bring them to China. And then, these people, I'm not saying that in all instances, but that's kind of like a cultural bargaining chip, that you have to go to their country to learn their services, and then you bring back what you learned to your community. Yes, that's great, but it's not a long-standing medical initiative that could help empower not only the people who are learning, but empower the public infrastructure as a whole. And yes, thank y'all. Now, this is a Trojan horse. I don't believe that this is gonna be a long-standing thing. This is kind of like how you get the rat with the cheese, and it's like a honeypot. It's like, yes, you are coming here and you are helping them with your hospital ship peace arc, ironically, but you're not helping the country as a whole build up their public infrastructure, their public health infrastructure, nor are you really giving it a long-standing medical initiative that helps promote training and job creation. But luckily, at Quest to Unite Africa, that's what we want to promote. We want to promote through our medical initiatives, long-standing success and empowerment through our people, whether it be on the African continent or in the diaspora. We can meet and make a strategic relationship where we can help each other further grow the public health infrastructure of any country, in this case, Mozambique. And we could do this through different initiatives where we send doctors to help them train, but not like as a 7-day trip like China's promoting, where you would like to have them there in a long-standing capacity to help teach those on the continent who are interested and have a thirst for knowledge in the medical field. And we would help them and teach them how to use these medical technologies. And then we would oversee their growth. And then we would also help them bring along different brothers and sisters who are also interested in that field. And then the person we empowered in that country, they will continue to sow the seeds of knowledge and empowerment, and that brings wealth and knowledge, and that then in there brings a powerful shift in the continent taking control of their health instead of looking for not so much handouts, looking for foreign entities to come to the rescue instead of just coming here and being saviors and then leaving. And we could, as I said before, Quest Unite Africa, we would be able to help build up the health infrastructure of Mozambique and any other African country through our medical donation supplies. We could maybe possibly find an initiative to help donate supplies there. We can also, again, make medical initiatives to help training and things of that nature for job creation. Also, we have brothers and sisters here in the diaspora in the United States that could help, lend consultation as to how health care facilities should look and what the upkeep is and what the best practices or standards of keeping the healthcare facilities up and running and making sure that the health medical needs are met. We would create different goals, because you need to create a goal in order to, have progress. It's funny. It's like, yes, they're coming to help the people, but they're not giving them like a long-standing goal or initiate. There's no real anticipation or goal or benchmark for the people to keep on aiming. They're just like, here, have this, and then they leave. That's not going to help them, grow and eventually be empowered and build up their country. And that's about all I'll have to say about this one. And then the next article is kind of tragic and also something that we could help with, and I'm just going to start it.
The search for missing people buried in this rubbish site in Kampala is not over. but it's unlikely anyone will be found alive. Many say they are yet to find their loved ones. They've been helping with rescue operations. Nelson Kagame says his 4-year-old child and wife are buried underneath the garbage.
Yesterday in the morning, I woke up as usual. I left at 7 a.m. to take a child to school. About 10 minutes after I left, I received a call from my neighbor asking if I was home. When I returned, my house was no more. I came back to this tragedy.
The incident happened when a section of a waste disposal site collapsed following heavy rains. More than 1,000 people have lost their homes.
Yesterday, we had few earth-moving equipment, but that has been doubled. The earth-moving equipment are now many on the site, and all are working perfectly.
The landfill had been used to store rubbish from the city for decades and was overflowing. Those who live here say it's a health hazard and was a disaster waiting to happen. The government has considered closing the site and commissioning a larger one outside the city, but that plan has not been acted on.
What I want the most is to find my loved ones so I can give them a befitting burial, instead of leaving them buried here.
For now, all people here can do is to try to come to terms with what happened and grieve for those they've lost. Catherine Soy, Al Jazeera.
Make sure to subscribe to our.
The body of one of Makumbi Samuel Masoke's grandsons has already been recovered from under a landslide in Uganda's Kampala. But he says he can't bury him yet. He's waiting for a second grandson to be pulled from under the mud and debris.
I can't just bury the only one they retrieved. I am waiting for them to retrieve the second one, so that I may bury them at once. Because we are supposed to bury them in the same village. Transporting them separately will be too costly. I cannot afford it.
The tragedy occurred on Friday at the only garbage dump in the Ugandan capital. Torrential rains caused a huge mound of rubbish to collapse, crushing homes on the edge of the site as residents slept. Musoke says his missing grandson's motorcycle was found.
That is why we are convinced he is right there. That is where he used to stay.
On Monday, Uganda police spokesperson Patrick Onyango said 22 bodies had been recovered so far.
We still expect more dead bodies down.
But he said that rescue efforts were being hampered by bad weather and that the death toll may yet rise. President Yoweri Museveni has directed the Prime Minister to coordinate the removal of all those living near the landfill site. The government has also launched investigations into the cause of the landslide. The Katizi site has served as Kampala's sole garbage dump for decades. Residents have long complained of hazardous waste polluting the environment and posing a danger to those living nearby.
Well, family, you heard that last part. The locals, the people there, the people in Kampala, which is the capital of Uganda, mind you, something so tragic like this happening in the capital of a major country is unfortunate, and this could have been prevented, but this is just a result of the incompetence of the government and leadership in Uganda. And it's not a coincidence that they're protesting in Uganda as we speak. Another cultural shift, as we said before. The people of Uganda are tired, and I mean, that's a total separate issue, but I mean, you could see why they're protesting. Stories like this lend to a hand of why they're protesting, because the government is not doing anything to give them better living standards or doing anything to meet the needs of them culturally. Again, cultural engagement. They have failed to make a strategic relationship with the citizens of Uganda. The government of Uganda has not taken the time to listen to the cries of their population. Because you heard the gentleman say that this landfill has been near all these homes for the past 10 years, and they've been complaining about it, but the government hasn't done anything to rectify the problem. And people have been deleted by this landslide that could have been prevented, and a lot of people are homeless now. I believe they said in this article, which I will put in the description, more than hundreds of people have lost their homes due to this landslide, and it could have been prevented. Honestly, it's just unfortunate. So Q2A, Quest Unite Africa, we would try to not try, we can't use the word try, we will meet the needs of the Ugandan people. We will listen to them, listen to their everyday interactions with the environment they're living in, as in regards to this landfill. What has it done to them? Why, does it smell? Has it lent to any different type of allergies or any type of different ailments? We would try to take that into consideration, and we could do that with experts in waste management and landfill management. You just don't dump garbage and make a mountainous heap of it. You have to strategically know what wastes, where you could store wastes without endangering the environment or your population. I mean, that's kind of just basic. How can you just dump garbage in your capital and think it's just gonna, go in your favor? I mean, the people have seen the corruption and the incompetence of what's going on here, and they're like, why is the government doing this? I thought they were in the best interest. I thought they were in our best interest. But again, waste management and landfill management, where they could build up in a critical infrastructure of where they could responsibly deal with their waste management and hazardous material management. One, also with environmental engineers, as I said before, they could survey land and look at the land and make reports and see what issues that can transpire or have transpired as a result of the Ugandan government's handling of the land. And then they would be able to create a plan that would be able to sustain different, hazards like rainfall and different, acts of God, as they say, where, the land is preserved and no one's harmed. And also environmental remediation, where we have experts responsibly remove pollution and contaminants on the surface or in the soil. Anything that has contaminated water, land, or anything that could affect the health of the people, we would make sure that those things are taken care of. So culturally, the people of Uganda can have, a better life and have a better, land or critical infrastructure as a whole. Like Uganda, Kenya, and Nigeria. These are countries that are in a cultural shift that see the incompetence of the government isn't an accident. There's an entity or a force behind this incompetence that won't let them thrive, and they're tired of it. And here at Quest Unite Africa, I believe we're called to help our brothers and sisters move in that cultural shift where they can enjoy the fruits of their labor and could be empowered to grow and to enjoy the wealth of their country. And, you know, here in the US, we say these fundamental rights, like, you know, right to own property, right to freedom, and right to, you know, having unalienable rights through courts and things of that nature. You know, it's time for them to have that. But, you know, we wouldn't just do it the way in the United States. We would listen to them through a cultural engagement and a strategic relationship where we can meet together and see what we could do to help each other thrive. And thank you for tuning in to the 5th episode of Exploring the Motherland. I hope everyone enjoys their Shabbat and tune in next time to Exploring the Motherland, African News with Garth. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.